I'm delighted to be here, feeling a weird mixture of elation with all this energy out there, all this buzz about what Ecobuild and sustainable construction really means, and on the other hand, a sort of glass half empty feeling about, is this it, this time round? I can see that some of you will probably think back to the 1998 report by John Egan called Rethinking Construction, which was then profoundly ignored by the industry and by government for the best part of the last decade. And it is a bit ironic to reflect on the fact that only now are we beginning to see a really serious application on the part of politicians to the notion of a sustainable built environment, and a sustainable built environment as the cornerstone of a sustainable society. But I think we should probably be a little bit more upbeat than we might normally be. You can't help but notice the productivity going on inside government over the last year to 18 months. DEC, the Department of Energy and Climate Change, is into a new productivity target of 1 new initiative a week at the moment. The run-up to the general election, of course, might have something to do with that, but I don't think we should be too cynical about this. And perhaps most excitingly of all, we have to recognize that there is now a sense of the importance of innovation in this whole move for change. The construction industry is an industry notorious historically for its lack of innovation, the difficulty that it's had in bringing forward new ideas, new materials, new processes, new financing systems, and in many instances the barriers to making this stuff a deliverable lie in that lack of innovation. I read it differently today. I think we can see a lot of things by way of policy interventions already in the pipeline, and a lot of new things coming down that pipeline fairly fast. There are, for instance, a lot of finance directors in the UK today trying to work out the level of exposure to the carbon reduction commitment and the degree to which that intervention, that particular involvement by central government imposed on all large private and public sector organisations will drive significant behaviour change by way of better carbon management strategies. There's a lot going on in terms of improved methodological innovation. We're seeing a rapid take-up around things like whole life costing to drive improved reconciliation between capital budgets and operational budgets. So there's a serious ferment of new ideas, energy, activity, which I just don't think was there before. Is it for real? We had a session early this morning at which we had Greg Clark, the Shadow Secretary of State for Energy and Climate Change, and Simon Hughes from the Lib Dems. Couldn't help but notice there was nobody there from the government or from the Labour Party, which was a bit peculiar. But nonetheless, those two, for the Conservatives and the Lib Dems, implied that this agenda is now unstoppably underway. There's nothing that's going to happen in terms of any changed balance in the government, if I can put it like that, which will take this agenda backwards, in reverse, that this is now a forward agenda. And that's something we really have to welcome. I suppose the challenge I just want to put out is this: does the capacity exist in the UK to make this really happen? Do we have the capacity in the supply chain, for instance, to deliver the idea of a 100% retrofit of existing houses in this country? I don't see it at the moment, and I'm not sure I see enough of an investment being made to get that skill set in place. Do we have enough capacity in local government, in planning committees? Greg Clark talks a wonderful mean green language these days. What about the average Conservative local authority? Are they seriously up for the kind of change that is now being mapped out for them from David Cameron, George Osborne, Greg Clark? Question mark. But you can tell which way I tend to incline in answering that question. And finally, and perhaps most complicatedly of all, do we actually have enough capacity in the great British public to make this happen? You can almost see government and the private sector getting their act together to begin to drive this change process, with only 25% of people in the UK now agreeing that climate change is both happening and primarily man-made. We're down to 25% of people in the UK. We have to ask a question about whether we've actually got enough awareness, energy and commitment in the general public to deliver on this agenda? And that's a question that NGOs often don't like to ask, because it's much easier to dump the blame on government, on big business and everybody else. Actually, I suspect the hardest question is why haven't we got a great surge of public opinion coming behind this to drive forward this agenda in the way we now need? I hope that'll be an interesting area for discussion. Thank you.